The strange encounter. The night was silent, except for the soft hum of broken lights along the old spaceport road. The stars above shone like cold fire, and the ruins of once great ships lay scattered across the dark ground. A lonely man walked there, his boots crunching softly on the dust. He had no destination, no plan. He only wanted silence. This man, Daniel, was used to being alone. He worked during the day in the lower city, fixing machines that no one cared about. At night, he walked to the old spaceport to escape the noise of the world. It was the one place where he could breathe freely, where he could pretend he was far away among the stars. But tonight, something was different. As Daniel passed a broken tower, he heard a sound soft at first, almost like the cry of a child. He stopped and listened. The wind moved across the metal ruins, making strange echoes, but the sound came again. A voice, weak, afraid. Daniel's heart beat faster. He turned toward the shadows. "Who's there?" he called, his voice firm but uncertain. At first, nothing answered. Then, from behind the broken wall, a figure appeared. She stepped into the dim light, and Daniel froze in shock. It was not a human. She was thin, her skin pale with a faint silver glow under the moonlight. Her eyes were large, shimmering like dark water. She wore clothes torn and dirty, as if she had been running for days. Her hands trembled as she looked at him, and then, with sudden weakness, she fell to her knees. Daniel moved closer, unsure. If this was real, he had seen aliens before. Of course, traders, workers, wanderers passing through the city, but never like this. This one looked broken, fragile, desperate. "Please." Her voice cracked, heavy with fear. "Please, human, marry me." The words struck him like thunder. Daniel blinked, confused. Had he heard her right? "What?" he asked. His voice sharp. She lifted her head. Her eyes were filled with tears. "I beg you, marry me, or I will die." Daniel stepped back, almost laughing at the absurdity. An alien woman, a stranger, asking him to marry her here, in the ruins, in the dead of night. It made no sense. But when he looked at her again, he saw it real fear. Not a trick, not a game. She was truly terrified. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you say something like that?" The woman clutched her chest as if her heart would break. "They will come. They will take me. I have no bond. Without a bond, I am nothing. They will sell me, or kill me. But if I am married to a human, the law will protect me." Daniel shook his head. This was madness. He wanted to turn and leave. This was not his problem, but something in her voice held him in place. The way her hands shook, the way she bent forward in shame, the way she whispered please. Again and again, all pierced through his calm. Lonely shell done in the silence of the spaceport, Daniel felt the weight of her desperation. Still, he tried to resist. "I don't even know you. Why should I risk anything for you?" Her eyes widened. "With pain, because you are human, and humans are different, stronger, braver. My people, we are told to fear you. But I have no choice. I need you." The air grew colder. Somewhere in the distance, a strange hum echoed, like engines waking in the sky. The woman's head snapped toward the sound, and terror filled her face. "They are coming," she whispered. Daniel followed her gaze. Beyond the ruined walls, shadows moved. He could see faint lights in the sky, moving closer, scanning the ground. Whoever they were searching. The woman crawled toward him, clutching the edge of his coat. "If they see me alone, I am lost. But if they see me with you, as your mate, they cannot touch me. The law binds them. Please, human, I beg you." Daniel's mouth went dry. This was no longer just a strange request. This was danger. real danger. If he walked away now, he would be safe, but she would be taken. If he stayed, he might be dragged into something he did not understand. Her silver eyes stared up at him, glowing with tears. "Please, marry me. Pretend if you must, but save me. Only you can." The humming sound grew louder. The ground vibrated. As ships passed overhead, lights swept across the ruins like giant searching eyes. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. His mind screamed to run, but his feet stayed rooted to the ground. The alien woman pressed her forehead to the dirt before him, her voice shaking with despair. "I will give you everything I have, everything I am. Just do not let them take me." And in that moment, Daniel realized this was no dream, no trick. This was real. A poor alien woman begging a human man for marriage, begging him to save her life. The lights drew closer. The shadows of tall figures moved among the ruins. The sound of heavy boots echoed against the stone. Daniel took one deep breath. He had only seconds to decide. Would he walk away? Or would he accept her desperate/reaf plea? The night held its breath, waiting for his choice. The secret behind her plea night grew darker as the hum of alien ships faded into the distance. Daniel stood frozen, his heart pounding, while the strange woman knelt before him. Her silver eyes shimmered with fear and hope at the same time. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Daniel's thoughts raced. A marriage? Protection by law? Aliens chasing her through the ruins? None of it made sense. He wanted to walk away. Yet something inside him, an instinct, maybe kept him rooted to the spot. Finally, Daniel spoke. His voice was low, cautious. "Tell me the truth. Who are you? And why me?" The alien woman lifted her face slowly. In the moonlight, her skin glowed faintly, like polished stone. She swallowed hard before speaking. "My name is Syria. I come from the Vyari people. Our world is close to this sector, but far in spirit. The Vyari do not value weakness. A woman without a bond is seen as worthless. She is property, nothing more." Daniel frowned, crossing his arms. "Property? You mean they would own you?" Her voice broke as she nodded. "Yes, women without a mate are sold in markets. Some become servants, some disappear." She lowered her eyes, shame heavy in her words. "I was promised to one of the hunters. He is rich, cruel, and feared. I refused. I ran. That is why. They search for me now." Daniel stared at her, the weight of her confession sinking in. He had seen darkness before in the lower city, in the greed of men, but never like this. The idea of an entire race treating women as things twisted his stomach. Still, he kept his guard. "So you escaped. Why not hide with your own people? Why come to me? I'm nothing, just a man fixing machines." Syria shook her head fiercely. "No, you are human. That makes you everything." Daniel blinked, confused. "Everything. You don't even know me." Her trembling hands gripped his coat. "You don't understand. Across the stars, there is one law that all species obey. It was written after the great human wars. The law says no bonded mate of a human can be touched by another race. Not even the Vyari hunters dare break it. If I marry you even in name only, they cannot take me." Daniel felt the weight of her words. For years, he had heard stories about those wars. Humans, once underestimated, had fought with a fury that shook empires. It was why other species treated humans with both fear and respect. The law she spoke of it sounded insane, but also possible. Syria's voice grew softer. "That is why I beg you. Only a human can save me. Only you can save me." The ruins creaked in the night wind. Somewhere far away, a ship's searchlight flashed, scanning the skies. Daniel looked at her trembling figure and felt a strange pull inside him. He didn't trust her fully, didn't understand the danger. But he knew one thing. She was desperate, and she was telling the truth. Still, doubt gnawed at him. If this law is so strong, why haven't others helped you? Surely you could find another human, maybe in the city. Her eyes filled with tears. I tried. They laughed. Some wanted money. Others feared the hunters. No one listened, until you. She reached out and touched his hand, her skin cold as ice. But you stopped. You looked at me. You saw me. Daniel pulled his hand back, uneasy. He didn't like being called a hero. He didn't feel like one. But her words struck something in his heart, something he had buried for years. The wish to matter, to protect, to fight for something bigger than himself. The silence stretched. Saria wiped her tears with trembling fingers. If you walk away now, they will find me before dawn. I will not see another sunrise. But if you take me as your wife, even in name, I will live. I will be free. Daniel's chest tightened. He had no family, no friends. His life was simple, quiet, empty. Now, here was this alien woman, offering him purpose, dangerous. Yes, but real. Before he could answer, a loud crack echoed through the ruins. Daniel spun around, eyes wide. In the distance, a shadow moved tall, armored, slow. The hunters were back, searching closer now. Saria gasped and clutched his arm. It is him, the one I escaped. If he sees me. Her voice broke into a sob. Please, decide quickly. Daniel's instincts roared. He was no soldier, no warrior. But he couldn't stand the thought of watching her dragged away. His jaw tightened. He leaned closer to her, whispering through clenched teeth. If I do this, if I agree, then you stay close to me. You tell me everything. No lies. She nodded rapidly, tears spilling down her face. I swear. No lies. Only truth. Another shadow passed across the ruins, closer now. Daniel felt his pulse hammering in his ears. He knew he was about to step into something far bigger than himself. But he also knew he could not walk away. The poor alien woman had begged him for marriage. And now, as the hunters closed in, Daniel realized he might actually say yes. The night held its breath once again. The hunters arrived. The ruins of the old spaceport were no longer silent. Heavy footsteps echoed against the broken walls. A sharp, metallic hiss cut through the night air as shadows moved between the wreckage. Strange lights flickered like burning. Eyes sweeping across the ground, Daniel crouched low, pulling Saria closer. His hand pressed against the cold stone of the wall as he listened. His heart raced like a drum. He had never faced aliens like these predators who hunted their own. Kind Saria trembled beside him. Her silver eyes were wide, fixed on the approaching lights. It is them, she whispered, her voice shaking. The Vayari hunters. They never stop once they begin the chase. Daniel peered around the corner. He saw them, tall figures, wrapped in dark armor that shimmered faintly under the starlight. Their helmets were sharp, their bodies strong, moving with the precision of machines. Each carried a long weapon, glowing with a pale blue flame at the tip. 3 of them walked slowly, scanning the ruins. Another one stayed behind, standing tall, as if commanding the rest. His armor was different, etched with golden lines. He radiated power. Even from far away, Daniel could feel his presence like a weight pressing against his chest. That one, Saria whispered, pointing with a trembling finger. He is the one I escaped. His name is Karoth. He will never forgive me, if he sees me. He will destroy us both. Daniel's throat tightened. He was just a man. hidden in the ruins with no weapon but his hands. And yet, this alien woman believed in him. The fear in her eyes wasn't just for herself, was for him too. The hunters stopped. One of them lowered his weapon, scanning the ground with a humming device. The pale blue light spread out like ripples, searching, probing. Daniel felt Saria grip his arm tightly. Her whisper was desperate. "You must decide now. If they see me alone, I am finished. But if they see us together, if they believe we are bonded, the law will stop them." Daniel's mind spun. This was madness. How could a word, a bond, protect against monsters in armor? But then he remembered what she told him. Across the galaxy, no one touched the mate of a human. That law was older than him, older than the city, older even than Saria. His choice was clear. He leaned close, his voice low and firm. "Fine. You're my wife now. Stay with me. Do not let go." Saria's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded fiercely. "I will not let go." The hunters moved closer. One raised his weapon and shouted, in a language Daniel didn't understand. The sound was deep, guttural, filled with threat. Saria flinched, pressing against Daniel's shoulder. Suddenly, a beam of red light shot out from the commander's hand, striking the ground near them. The ruins lit up like fire, and Daniel knew they had been seen. "Run," he hissed. They sprinted across the cracked stones, Saria's thin frame moving surprisingly fast. The hunters roared behind them, their heavy boots shaking the ground. Blue firebolts slammed into walls and shattered metal. Sparks rained down, lighting the darkness. Daniel's lungs burned as he ran. He pulled Saria with him, weaving through the ruins, ducking behind old starship parts. But the hunters were faster, relentless. One leaped onto a high wall and raised his weapon. A bolt of fire shot down, striking the ground inches from Daniel's feet. He stumbled, nearly falling. Saria cried out, grabbing his arm. "Daniel, this way." She pulled him toward a narrow passage between two broken towers. They squeezed through, the hunters' weapons scraping against the stone behind them. For a moment, they hid in the shadows, breathless. Daniel leaned against the wall, sweat dripping down his face. His mind screamed at him, "This is insane. You cannot fight them. You cannot survive this." But then he looked at Saria. She was pressed against him, eyes shining with fear, but also trust in him. A man she had just met. The footsteps came again, louder this time. The hunters were closing in. Their voices echoed like thunder. Saria whispered, "They will not stop until I am caught. But if we stand together, if you claim me, they cannot take me." Daniel clenched his fists. His voice was steady, though his heart shook. "Then let them hear me." He stepped out from the shadows, pulling Saria with him. The hunters froze for a moment, their weapons glowing in the night. The commander, Karoth, stepped forward. His golden armor gleamed, and his voice cut through the air. "Return the runaway human. She belongs to me." Daniel's jaw tightened. He placed his arm around Saria's shoulders and raised his voice. "She belongs to no one. She is my wife now." The words echoed across the ruins. The hunters shifted uneasily. Their weapons lowered slightly. Even Karoth paused, his helmet tilting. The air grew heavy with silence. Saria whispered against Daniel's chest, her voice trembling. "You said it. They cannot touch us now." But Karoth's voice rumbled with fury. "You think ancient law will save you, human? Perhaps once. But times change. You have made a mistake. A mistake that will cost you your life." The hunters lifted their weapons again. The blue flames burned brighter. Daniel's heart pounded. As he pulled Saria close, he had spoken the words. He had claimed her. But would the law truly protect them? Or had he just declared war against a powerful enemy? The night held its breath once more, waiting for the first strike. The humans. Decision. The ruins shook with silence. Karoth stood like a shadow carved from steel, golden lines glowing faintly across his armor. His hunters waited behind him, weapons raised, their blue flames humming with deadly promise. The air smelled of burnt metal, of fire ready to fall. Daniel held Saria close, his arm wrapped around her shoulders, his body tense as stone. His mind screamed at him to run, but he knew there was no running now. He had spoken the words. He had claimed her. The law was their only shield. Karoth's voice broke the silence. Human, you are bold. But boldness without strength is foolishness. That woman is Vyari. She belongs to me. Give her back, and I may let you live. Syria trembled against Daniel. Her silver eyes were wide, her breath shaking. She whispered so softly only he could hear. Do not give me to him. If you do, I will not survive the night. Daniel's chest tightened. He looked at Karoth, then at the hunters, then down at Saria. She was fragile, broken, terrified. But she was also alive because she had believed in him. In a world full of darkness, she had looked at a human stranger and begged for his help. And now, the decision was his. Daniel's voice was low, steady, but inside, his heart pounded like thunder. She is my wife now. You cannot take her. The words rang out across the ruins. The hunters shifted uneasily. Some lowered their weapons for a moment, glancing at one another. The law was old, older than their people, and to break it was to invite the wrath of all humanity. Even the fiercest warriors feared that. But Karoth only laughed. His voice was deep, echoing like metal grinding against stone. Human law is old, weak. The galaxy has changed. Who will stop me if I take her? You? He stepped forward, his armor shining under the starlight. You are only flesh and bone. I could crush you with one hand. Daniel's mouth went dry, but he did not move. He stood taller, pulling Saria behind him. Try, he said, his voice sharp, and you. We'll learn why humans are feared. The hunters froze again. The memory of the human wars lived in every race. Stories told of humans who fought against entire fleets, humans who burned worlds to protect their kind. Daniel himself had never seen war, never held a weapon. But the shadow of that history stood beside him like a ghost. Karoth's helmet tilted. Studying him, you speak with fire. Human. But I see fear in your eyes. I see weakness in your hands. You are not a warrior. You are nothing. Daniel's fists clenched. He was nothing, just a machine fixer from the lower city. He had no training, no weapons, no army. But he had something Karoth would never understand. The will to stand. Even when standing meant death. Syria pressed her hand against Daniel's back, her whisper fierce, despite her trembling. Do not bow. Do not yield. The hunters respect. Only strength. Show them you are human. Daniel looked at Karoth, and for the first time in years, he felt something burning in his chest. Not fear, not doubt. Something older. Something stronger, defiance. He took a step forward, standing in the open where the starlight struck his face. Listen well, Karoth, she is mine now. You touch her, you declare war with me. And war with a human is something even you cannot win. The ruins went silent. The hunters stared, their weapons trembling in their hands. Karoth's laughter faded, replaced by a low growl. His golden armor flickered with light, as if alive with rage. You dare challenge me? Karoth roared. The ground seemed to shake with his voice. You, a nameless man, think you can defy the strongest of the Vyari? Daniel's answer was simple. Yes. Kareth's eyes burned behind his helmet. For a moment, he seemed ready to strike, to end it with one swing of his blade. But then he stopped, his head tilted. His voice dropped low, heavy with threat. Very well. If the human claims her, then the human keeps her. But mark my words, your life is forfeit. You will not escape me forever. I will come again. And when I do, not even your law will save you. With a sharp gesture, Kareth ordered his hunters to fall back. Slowly, reluctantly, they lowered their weapons and stepped away into the shadows. Their glowing armor vanished into the dark, leaving only the echo of their heavy boots. Daniel stood still, breathing hard, sweat cold on his skin. Saria clutched his arm, tears streaming down her face. They left, she whispered. But Daniel shook his head, his eyes fixed on the horizon where the hunters had disappeared. No, they'll be back. He wasn't afraid of me. He was warning me. And next time, he won't leave without a fight. Saria's voice trembled. You risked your life for me. Why? Daniel looked at her, his face shadowed by the broken moonlight. Because no one deserves to be hunted, and because I'm human. And humans don't bow. Her lips parted as she stared at him, astonished. For the first time since they met, a faint spark of hope lit her silver eyes. But the night was not over. Somewhere in the distance, engines roared again, shaking the sky. The hunters might have left, but the game had only begun, and Daniel knew his decision had bound him to something far greater than himself. The poor alien woman was his wife, now by word, by law, by choice, and the war for survival had only just begun. The escape the ruins fell quiet after the hunters vanished, but Daniel knew silence was a lie. It was the kind of silence that waited before a storm. Kareth's words still rang in his ears. We'll come again. Daniel pulled Saria close and whispered, We can't stay here. They'll return. Saria's face was pale, her silver eyes shimmering with fear. Where will we go? The hunters rule this sector. They will search every shadow. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then we go where they won't expect us. We head for the mountains. The mountains rose far beyond the ruins, dark shapes against the horizon. Few dared to go there. The land was dangerous, filled with broken tunnels from old wars and storms that cut like blades. But Daniel knew the hunters would not waste time searching such a cursed place. He guided Saria through the ruins, keeping low. Every sound made him flinching, the screech of metal in the wind, the soft crunch of gravel beneath their boots. Above them, the stars burned cold. Watching as they walked, Saria whispered, You risked everything for me. But you don't even know me. Daniel didn't look at her. I know enough. You needed help. No one else listened. That's enough for me. Her gaze softened, but her voice still trembled. You don't understand what you've done. By claiming me, you've made Kareth your enemy. He has power, he has armies. He won't stop until you are destroyed. Daniel smirked faintly, though his chest was tight. Then let him try. They moved quickly, leaving the ruins behind. The land grew harsher, covered in jagged stone and twisted metal from ancient ships that had crashed long ago. The wind howled through broken hulls, making the night feel alive with whispers. Saria stumbled on the rough ground, her body weak from running. Daniel caught her before she fell. Careful, he said, steadying her. She looked at him, tears in her eyes. Why do you care? You could have left me. You could have walked away. Daniel sighed, his eyes scanning the horizon. Maybe because I'm tired of walking away. My whole life, I've fixed things no one cared about. Machines, scraps, broken tools. Maybe for once, I want to fix something that matters. Her lips parted, but before she could reply, a distant roar shook the air. Daniel froze. The sound was unmistakable engines. The hunters were back. Blue lights pierced the sky, sweeping the ground like giant, searching eyes. The sound grew louder. As ships passed overhead, Saria gasped, "They've found us." Daniel pulled her behind a wrecked ship hull. "Not yet. Stay quiet." They crouched low as a hunter ship hovered above, its engines thundering, sending dust and rocks flying. A beam of light scanned the ground, moving closer to their hiding place. Saria's hands shook as she clutched Daniel's arm. "If they see us, then we run," he whispered. The beam stopped inches from them, sweeping across the wreckage. Daniel held his breath, every muscle tense. The light lingered, humming softly. Then, slowly, it passed on. The ship moved away, the roar fading into the distance. Daniel exhaled sharply, his body trembling with relief. But he knew it was only a matter of time. "We can't hide forever," he muttered. "We need to get higher ground. The mountains will give us cover." They pushed forward, climbing over rocks and broken towers. The air grew colder, sharper. Dark clouds gathered above the peaks, swirling like a storm. As they climbed, Saria spoke again, her voice low. "The Vayari do not understand humans. They call you reckless, dangerous. But they also fear you. Do you know why?" Daniel shook his head. "No. Because you fight when you should run. You stand when others kneel. That is why I came to you. That is why I begged you." Her voice broke, but then grew stronger. "You are not weak, Daniel. Not like them." Daniel didn't reply, but her words burned in his chest. For so long he had felt invisible, unimportant. But to her, he was something else, something stronger. The wind howled louder as they reached a narrow path along the cliffside. The ground was loose, rocks sliding beneath their boots. Saria slipped, crying out. Daniel caught her again, pulling her close. "You'll fall if you don't hold on," he warned. Her hand gripped his tightly. "Then I will not let go." They pressed on, higher and higher. The sky above rumbled with thunder. Lightning flashed, lighting the jagged peaks. Behind them, the sound of engines roared again. The hunters were coming fast. Saria's eyes widened. "They won't stop. What will we do?" Daniel turned to her, his face hard with resolve. "Then we stop running." He pointed to a cave ahead, its mouth dark and wide. "We'll make our stand there. If they want to fight, I'll give them one." Saria stared at him, fear and awe mixing in her gaze. "You would fight them? Alone?" Daniel's voice was steady. "I'm not alone. I have you." Her breath caught, and for a moment, her fear softened into something else, something brighter. The engines grew louder, the light of hunter ships. Glowing against the storm clouds, Daniel led Saria into the cave, his fists clenched, his heart steady. He was no soldier, no hero, but he was human, and humans never bowed. The storm outside raged as the hunters descended. The escape had led them here to the mountains. And now, Daniel knew, the real battle was about to begin. The human strength the cave was dark and cold. Its walls, jagged like broken teeth. Drops of water echoed softly, but outside, the storm roared. Lightning split the sky, and the engines of the hunter ships shook the mountains. Daniel stood near the mouth of the cave, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. He had no weapon, no armor, only his hands and his will. Yet his eyes burned with a fire the hunters had never seen. Saria clung to the wall behind him, her body trembling. She whispered, "You cannot face them. They are trained killers. They were born to hunt." Daniel turned to her, his face calm but fierce. "Maybe, but they've never hunted a human who refuses to bow." The engines grew louder. Then, with a flash of blue light, the hunter ships descended on the mountainside. Their search beams cut through the storm, striking the rocks, and the hunters leaped down one by one. Their armor glowed with power, their weapons hissing with fire. Karoth landed last. His golden armor gleamed even in the storm, his presence heavier than the thunder itself. His voice echoed against the cliffs. "Human, this is the end. Give her to me, and perhaps your death will be quick." Daniel stepped forward into the open, rain running down his face. He raised his voice so it carried over the storm. "You want her? Then you'll have to go through me." The hunters laughed a cruel metallic sound. To them, Daniel was nothing, just flesh and bone. But Karoth lifted his hand, silencing them. His helmet tilted as he studied Daniel. "Very well," Karoth said. "Show me what strength a human has." The first hunter lunged forward, weapon raised. Blue fire crackled at its tip. Daniel moved fast, faster than they expected. He ducked low, grabbed a loose rock from the ground, and smashed it into the hunter's knee joint. The alien roared, stumbling as its armor cracked. Before it could recover, Daniel drove his fist into its faceplate. The hunter collapsed, sparks flying from its helmet. Saria gasped. "Daniel?" But Daniel didn't stop. Another hunter charged. This one swung its blade down with brutal force. Daniel rolled aside, the blade smashing into stone, sparks exploding. He snatched a sharp metal shard from the cave floor and slashed at the alien's arm. The hunter howled, dropping its weapon. The others hesitated. For the first time, they had seen something strange, a human fighting not with technology, but with raw will. Karoth's voice rumbled. "Do not fear him. He bleeds like all others. Finish this." Two hunters came at once. Daniel's heart pounded. His breath ragged, but adrenaline burned through him like fire. He let one strike, then twisted his body so the blow missed. He grabbed the alien's arm, pulled hard, and slammed it into the other hunter. Both crashed against the rocks. Saria's eyes widened in shock. She had seen humans before, but never like this. He fought with no weapon, no armor, yet every move carried defiance. He was not stronger than the hunters, not faster, but he refused to give in. And that made him unstoppable. Another hunter raised its weapon, aiming at Saria. Daniel's eyes flared. With a roar, he charged, tackling the alien to the ground. The weapon fired, the bolt sizzling into the cave wall, missing Saria by inches. Daniel wrestled with the hunter, punching, striking, refusing to let go until the alien's helmet cracked. He staggered to his feet, blood on his knuckles, chest heaving. The storm above howled, lightning flashing like fire across the sky. Karoth stepped forward at last. His hunters lay broken or retreating, but he stood tall, unshaken. "Impressive," he said, his voice dark. "Perhaps the stories of humans were not lies after all. But you are still only one man." Daniel wiped the blood from his lip. His voice was steady, defiant. "One man is enough." Karoth's armor glowed brighter, golden lines pulsing with energy. He drew a massive blade from his back, its edge humming with power. The storm seemed to bow to him as he raised it. Saria cried out, "Daniel, you cannot face him. He is not like the others." Daniel looked at her, his eyes hard but calm. "Then I'll show him what it means to fight a human." Karoth charged, blade swinging like lightning. Daniel barely dodged, the weapon slicing through stone as if it were paper. Sparks exploded, the cave shaking. Daniel grabbed another rock and hurled it at Karoth's helmet. But it bounced harmlessly off the golden armor. Karoth struck again, forcing Daniel back, step by step. The blade tore through the ground, sending shards flying. Saria screamed, Run. But Daniel stood his ground. His mind raced. He couldn't beat Keroth with strength. He needed to use the environment, his wits. Lightning flashed through the cave, revealing the jagged stalactites above. Daniel's eyes narrowed. An idea sparked. He dodged another swing and ran deeper into the cave, Keroth pursuing, his heavy armor shaking the ground. Daniel grabbed a sharp piece of metal from the floor and hurled it upward. Stalactites cracked, groaning. Keroth swung. Again, but Daniel dove aside. The blade struck the cave roof too hard, too heavy. With a roar, the rocks above broke loose. Massive stone spikes crashed down. Dust and thunder filled the cave. Saria screamed as the ground shook violently. When the dust cleared, Keroth stood buried under fallen rock, his golden armor dented, sparks flying. He growled, struggling to rise. Daniel staggered forward, his body aching, his hands bleeding. But his voice steady. That's the strength of a human. We don't stop. We don't bow. And we don't lose. Saria ran to him, tears streaming down her face. She gripped his arm, staring at him with awe. You fought them all. For me. Daniel looked at her, his chest rising and falling. No, I fought because that's what humans do. We fight. When others give up, outside, the storm raged. The other hunters had fled, leaving their commander trapped. But Daniel knew it wasn't over. Keroth would rise again for now though. They had won. And in Saria's eyes, Daniel was no longer just a man. He was something greater. A human who had shown the galaxy why they should never be underestimated. A new beginning. The cave was silent, except for the faint crackle of broken stone and the steady drip of water. Dust hung in the air like mist. Daniel leaned against the wall, his chest heaving, his fists torn and bloody. His whole body ached, but he was still standing. Saria knelt beside him, her silver eyes shining with tears. You should not be alive. No human should have survived against Keroth. Daniel gave a faint, tired smile. I'm not no human. I'm me. She almost laughed, but her voice cracked with emotion. She pressed her hands to his wounds. Trying to stop the bleeding? You risked your life for me. No one from my people would have done what you did. Daniel winced, but kept his eyes on her. Maybe that's the difference between us. Humans don't need promises or orders to protect someone. Sometimes we just decide. Outside, the storm was fading. The roar of engines had vanished. The hunters who survived had fled into the night, leaving their commander buried beneath the rubble. But Daniel knew it wasn't the end. Keroth was too strong to die so easily. Somewhere under those broken stones, he would rise again. Saria seemed to sense it too. She looked toward the pile of shattered rock, her body trembling. He will return. The hunters will return. You cannot fight them forever. Daniel stood slowly, ignoring the pain in his limbs. He moved to the cave's mouth and stared out. At the mountains, the dawn was breaking, soft light spilling over the peaks. For the first time in hours, the world looked calm. No, he said quietly. I can't fight them forever. But maybe I don't need to. Saria tilted her head. What do you mean? Daniel turned to her, his eyes sharp with determination. You said it yourself, the galaxy fears humans. They remember the old wars. If Keroth keeps chasing us, others will notice. His kind will be forced to follow their own law. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. Saria blinked, her tears glistening. You believe you can change? The way the galaxy sees us, Daniel shrugged. I don't know. But I know one thing. I won't let anyone take you. Not now, not ever. Her lips parted, her breath catching. For a moment, she simply stared at him as though she could not believe he was real. Then, slowly, she reached for his hand. "When I begged you to marry me, I only wanted survival. But now," she paused, her voice trembling. "Now, I want more than survival. I want to stay by your side." Daniel's hand closed around hers, firm and steady. "Then stay, because I'm not letting go." The first rays of sunlight touched the cave, painting the stone in gold. Syria stepped closer, leaning against him, her fear melting into quiet strength. Together, they looked out at the horizon. For the first time, she felt safe. For the first time, he felt alive, but safety never lasted long. From deep within the cave, a low rumble echoed. The pile of rock shifted. Dust drifted into the air. A faint golden glow flickered between the cracks. Syria gasped. "He lives." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I know." The stones fell away, one by one. Slowly, a massive figure rose. Armor. Dented but unbroken. Kareth's golden lines burned like fire. His helmet cracked, but his eyes blazing with rage. "You think this is over, human?" His voice was rough, but strong, echoing like thunder. "This is only the beginning." Daniel pulled Syria behind him, standing tall despite his exhaustion. "Good, because beginnings are what humans do best." Kareth growled, but he did not attack. His hunters were gone, his body damaged. For now, he could not finish the fight. He pointed his blade toward Daniel. "Then know this," Kareth said. "I will come for you. I will come for her." "And when?" "I do. No mountain, no storm, no law will stop me." With a final glare, he turned and vanished into the storm, his footsteps shaking the earth. Syria clung to Daniel's arm, her voice shaking. "He will return. He will never stop." Daniel nodded. "Good. Let him come. Because now, he'll see what it means to fight a human with something to protect." The dawn spread wider across the sky, lighting the path down the mountains. The storm was gone, replaced by clear light. Daniel took Syria's hand, guiding her forward. They were not safe. They were not finished. But they were alive as they walked into the rising sun. Syria whispered, "You are not just human. You are more. You are hope." Daniel said nothing. But his grip on her hand tightened. Somewhere deep inside, he felt it too. This was not the end of their story. It was the beginning.